Engine 1 from car 1. Car 1's on scene at Subin Command. Give me a C.A.N report.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the C.A.N report. This is Stickers. Mike Goldstein coming at you with an episode. We have Nathan Pipps joining us tonight. Nathan Pipps is from Beaumont, Texas, and he also runs helps run the For Them Fire Conference, and he's got a lot to talk about, and I'm excited to hear about the program and hear him talk about his passions in the fire service. Nathan Pipps, welcome to the program.
All right, man. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. It's been a long time coming. I've seen all your posts online. I see what you're doing. You're doing great stuff, and the fact that you have an amazing fire conference that you try to hold every year is something to be commended for, and I appreciate you bringing that to everybody, and I appreciate you being on here.
Absolutely, brother.
So we'll get into it real quick. I'll get you your bio here. You got a great one. He's been in the fire service for 8 years, 4 as a career firefighter for Port Arthur Fire Department. He is just one of the guys for the For Them Fire Conference. He's on the training e-board for the Spindletop FOOLS. His passions are search, engine work, and mastering the basics. He's also attention to the fine details in our skills that determines our level of competency and confidence in executing what it matters most. Our mission for Them Conference is to spread the victim-first tactics and information. This is through taking the Firefighter Rescue Survey data and building the confidence and competency in our search and engine skills, such as first due low-man engine staffing, split search, searching in hoarder conditions, and extending the search. Our hot classes are designed with intention to be 12-hour hot days. This enabled us to progressively implement accumulated fatigue and how we can overcome those obstacles when it matters most. We don't choose when a fire comes in. It could be the end of the shift and our second fire on the shift. It's imperative that we know how these affects our skill levels and how it affects the rescue and how we can overcome the challenges this presents. That's a lot, but man, that is the truth.
Oh, yeah. But
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is a lot, dude. So quick though, tell me about yourself. So you're from Beaumont, Texas. You've been in the fire service for 8 years. How did you get into the fire service?
Man, I started with a little volunteer department about 10 minutes up the road, a little department called Jefferson County ESD3. And, I used that to get a taste for the fire service, right? See if that was because I was looking for a change of career at the time. And I was like, let me see if I'd be interested in that because I had a servant's heart, right? I wanted to, I wasn't feeling fulfilled in, corporate America, so to speak. So, once I started it, man, I fell in love with it. I mean, I was ate up with it, but I got really lucky. They had a good group of guys over there. Fire chief now, Philip Kibido, and his way of thinking, man, it's everything that's being spread now, right? And I absorbed that, and it's like whenever I started moving other places, it was like, what's going on, So anyway, that's about it. But it was a great department.
So you got the bug as soon as you started into it. It just infected you, and you just hit the ground running.
Yep. And what's wild is, man, for that volunteer department, they do more training than some career departments that I've seen. And man, they do at least one training a week, and they're pretty good with their skills.
Yeah, man. There's that's how I started. I started in the call department, and I gotta say, my department that I was on, I was with them for a good while, and we trained a lot, and we trained really well, and it really helped me to grow as a firefighter. When I changed departments, it was great to have those skills. So I'm not so new that I didn't know how to work in another department. We didn't run ambulances, so we ran just strictly just doing fire stuff, and we ran a lot of suppression drills. We did a lot of hose stretching. We did a lot of card cutting. The department I was on, it was very aggressive, and just because they're not a career, it's a one station town, so we just always got into it. We loved being an aggressive department. We loved getting into work, and I'm thankful for the tutelage I got and for the training I got on that department, because it helped me be more successful to where I'm in now. So yeah, that's great, dude. Yeah, it's amazing how just a little impact, that it can affect you, right? Like you join a small volunteer department, and boom, yeah, absolutely.
I think back on this moment, man. I think back on that moment, right? What if I had gotten in with a volunteer department that their training consisted of, just sitting around a table and talking? And I don't mean like talking about training. I'm talking about the rumor mill and things like that, would that have affected me from the get-go? And I think it would have, man. I might not have even, became a career firefighter. So I'm very, very thankful for that opportunity and how it's affected me now for my whole career.
It seems, man, it's just amazing that it's inspired you to be positive, and you're pretty lucky that you don't have any of that negative, toxic work environment that could have affected you for long term. So it's awesome that that positivity is continued on, and you're spreading that positivity. And then it sparked you to do this fire conference. So it's part of the Fools, the Spindletop Fools. They put it on, correct?
Yeah.
So how did you get involved in that?
So originally, whenever we started, it was a joint effort between the 397, which is the Port Arthur Professional Firefighters Union, and I asked the Fools if they would like to join in with it, because I put it on, let's see, we've had 2 years now. So the first year, it was just an idea of, hey, let me get this group of guys together with this group of guys, and I think the message would be really good, and that's kind of how it started. But eventually, change of the president and the union, they didn't want to be part of it anymore. So I said, okay, I got with the Fools and said, hey, y'all are going to be the sole proprietors of it. So y'all are good with it. That's the direction we went. So
how many years have you been doing it?
So this is going to be our 3rd year now.
And so you've been active, helping to be on the e-board for 3 years?
I want to say 3. Because I was on the e-board before that, man. I'd be lying. I can't remember exactly.
Sure. So what inspired all of you to do this? Do you have many conferences or training programs where you were from or in the general area?
In the general area, no. I mean, the closest fire conference we have is the Joey D conference in Houston. Then, you got Daggum, but that's 5.5 hours away. Gone to Texas, 5.5 hours away. Nothing in Louisiana. Oh, I'm sorry. You got Lyft and and the Caddo Cooker, but like I said, that's still far away. No, so we originally wanted to put this on because of the message itself. We want to get this tactics and information out there. There's too many times now we're seeing where there's a victim inside, departments are not making entry, and we just want to save more lives through others. If we can build competency and confidence through others, that's how we win. I can make a rescue, but if I can affect 10 rescues through 100 students, then we're really winning.
That's awesome. I love it. So how did you build the curriculum for that? So was it just stuff that you guys were passionate about? The training e-board, did you guys just sit together and go, okay, this is the stuff we like to do and let's make it happen? Or did you guys know there was an area or a certain part of the job that was lacking in your area that you wanted to really focus on? Because you seem you guys are really heavy on search and engine work. Were those areas that you felt really needed to be spoken about and trained on?
Yeah,
and
absolutely,
that you guys have,
man.
on the job have seen holes in that?
Absolutely. I've seen it in departments close to us. I've seen it in my own department. I'm not pointing fingers or blaming anybody. It's just what I've noticed. So like our engine class, it focuses a lot on just the 3-man engine company, and you can get a lot more accomplished than you think you can. There's been times where, the engine company was outside waiting for backup. That's not acceptable.
Sure.
What we teach in our class is we can force a door, we can stretch a line, we can flow water. I don't know about y'all, but we have tanks on our trucks, 500 gallon, 750 gallon. While we're waiting for our second due to come in. So, especially if it's a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom fire, we can go in, apply water, search for victims, or find victims on the way to the fire, right? And save more lives that way. Standing outside, it's not good, man. We all know, looking back at the Firefighter Rescue Survey data, right? The first 6 minutes is so critical. If the public knew what we knew, they'd be up in arms like they are about our brothers in blue right now, So,
yeah, it's actually, now that you think of, as you said it, it's funny that more citizens don't look into that. I guess, some people do so much homework about where they're going to buy their house, right? What the community is and what the taxes are. What do they have for services that are provided with the town? What is their police department like? What is their fire department like? I mean, hell, we do so much homework of just buying appliances, and how long it's going to last, and what is the buyer reviews are. And we do so much background checking on the certain things that make our lives comfortable. But as citizens, we don't really look at those things. And maybe it's because obviously I don't think that the information is not out there for them, right? They're not looking at the firefighter surveys, they're not looking, data over drama. They're not looking at those sites and those informations because why would they? It's the same thing. Like I don't look into what the police are doing. I know they protect my area, but I'm not looking at whatever
we
data there is
them,
for the
yeah,
police
we
officers.
Trust them. The
We
public
trust them.
they trust in us. We're the keepers of the night. And we watch over them. We're here for them. That's the whole point.
Hence the name. But you're right. Like it's just like it just dawned on me. Like the citizens, it's not like they don't care, and it's not like they don't want to know what we're doing or what the numbers are out there. But they don't know. Why would they do that homework? Because like you said, they trust us. They trust us to respond, to know the area, to know the district, to know how to drive the truck, how to put it in pump, how to pull the hose line, how to enter a building, and how to save people. That's what they trust us to do. And they
expect us to
don't
go
need
in.
to look up numbers.
Right. They expect us to go inside. They're not outside. They're inside, right?
Correct.
I don't know if you remember back in the day,
100%.
Maybe it was back in the 70s or 80s, they had the little top finder sticker, right? You put that top finder sticker in your window, that lets them know where the victims are. Hey, we got a baby in that window. That means I'm coming for you. Where did we lose our way? I don't know.
It's a toughie, dude. I don't think we've necessarily lost our way, but I think that the fire service definitely gotten a little more white collar. I think we've gotten too paper heavy and cert heavy, where we care more about SOPs and SOGs, and that micromanaging has also gotten into the way of things.
Man, now that you bring that up, that's an excellent topic. The cert heavy, and so riddle me this. Maybe it's just my department. I don't know, and I might get in trouble for saying this. Okay. Oh, well. It's so easy for the training department to send you to a class that you get a state cert from, but you want to go to a conference that teaches you actual street smart skills. Sorry, we can't do that. Is it just me?
Yeah. So, brother, I've had that conversation with many people in many other departments as well. You're not the only one. It's tough because I guess for one, I don't think because some of those conferences, they're not vetted. Right? Like they don't have the accreditation of getting that paperwork, of getting that cert. But for myself, I've been very fortunate with my current department. They see the benefits. They trust in knowing that I've vetted those programs, and that when I ask if I can go to a conference, they don't even question it. They go, absolutely. Budget issues though, like they're not going to pay for the whole thing, but I've been pretty fortunate where if they have the money, they'll help with the registration fee. That's good enough for me. But what I love that they do on my side is they would always say is, as long as you bring it back, we want you to train us. And I'm just a small town schmuck from New Hampshire. And I go to these conferences.
Over the past couple of years, what we have seen is there are departments that send, members, firefighters. So they're out there. They're out there.
They are. They're definitely out there. And I think that's part of our responsibility when we go to these conferences. And we need to come back, not only show them what we've learned, but if we come back and show them how valuable it was, and we talk about the skills and we talk about the whole experience. And I think that helps to sell that to them, because you have to sell it to them. If you come back to a conference, it is an obligation, man. And you go back to your department, and they ask you what you learned, and you go, I learned how to pull this hose line, but I don't remember it. Then they're going to say, well, why are we going to send you to anything else? You didn't bring anything back. So it's up to us we're vetting that program. And when you actually have like solid conferences and solid instructors, they give a shit, because they know that people like us are bringing it back to their department, and that we're selling it to our training officers and our chiefs. And if we try to get them to have that buy-in and bring more people, we need to show them what we got out of it. And I think sometimes we don't do enough in that of coming back from a conference, because, man, we just made a shitload of friends. We did a lot of networking. We bought a lot of hats. We bought a lot of t-shirts. We bought a lot of stickers. We come back with all the swag, but we show them all the swag we got. But are you showing them what you learned? They don't care about the higher ups, they're spending money to make sure that we're educating the department. They don't care about what you got you're gonna put on your coffee mug. They want to know that it's gonna better you in the field, and that's gonna help bring that to the next level to your crew that you work with. So yeah, man, I think we got to vet that process as students. And again, any instructor or any conference that's worth their weight in salt, they're gonna make sure that they are bringing that positive message to the students. I mean, one, if you treat the students like shit, right, and you act like you're better than them at these conferences, they're not going to come back. So if you try to act like a badass and say like, I've been to five fires in 5 days, and this is how I beat the shit out of it, and then you didn't really show me how to do it safe, or you didn't show me any new skills, I'm going to come back and go, they taught me nothing. I just heard a guy talk about his war stories for 8 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
I need something tangible to bring back. And if you treat me like shit or treat me like I know nothing, then I'm definitely not coming back. And I'm going to tell everybody, that was the most horrible experience I've ever had, and I wouldn't pay any more money to go back there.
Yep.
So it's a double-edged sword. What we have to do as students is vet the process and be good listeners and put in those reps. But the people put it on that conference, they have to be solid people who know what they're talking about, because there's going to be people in those programs that do know some shit, and they're going to sniff out the people who don't, and they're going to come back and go, yeah, it's full of shit. Yeah.
That's the thing, man.
That's my soapbox about that.
A lot of the students you see, they're like me. I go to a lot of conferences. Oh, this is another conference. This is my third conference of the year, and that's how it is. And I've been to a few, and it's like, man, yeah, like I get exactly what you're saying.
Yep. So you gotta. It's involves both people. It involves the student, involves the instructor, and obviously you guys for them fire conference are doing something right, because you keep bringing it back and people keep going, and you have some really good speakers. You have really good instructors that are showing up to these programs. Absolutely. So I saw for last year you had a great list last year. Why don't you tell me a bit about that, or who you have for this year?
Man, this year we're still working on our lectures. I can give you some tentative speakers. So number one, we have.
If you don't have to, if you don't want to.
Okay, you heard it here first. Okay, I have one speaker lined up right now. Justin Fraze with the Colony Fire Department. He's Georgia smoke diver, Oklahoma smoke diver. Yeah, man, he's pretty legit, and he's going to be giving a lecture on overcoming adversity and mentality, and that is the guy to learn that from. And then he's also going to stick around for the hot classes, and he's going to be part of the search cadre this year. The next one we have is possibly Justin McWilliams. He's going to give a search lecture, try and get some of these breaking the stigma of split search and going beyond the door of VES and things like that, and really establishing that search it's just search. Why do we complicate it? Not all that. He talks about training scars and different things of that nature, and I think it kind of sets everybody up for the hot classes, because you can't learn just the skill. You need to know the why. Once you have the why, like I said, like we talked about earlier, the attention to the fine details is how we really win. That's how you become an expert. So you got to know the why, who, what, when, where, why.
Yep. Love it. And do you have anything else? Or are you keeping the other stuff a secret?
So we have we're looking at doing a duo lecture with James Nisbet and John Kwan. Okay. It's going to be an engine and a search duo lecture. They haven't developed it yet, though, so it's still in the works. Both of those guys are brothers in Battle Cadre. If you've never listened to them or taken a class with them, they're both absolutely top tier firemen, dude. Like, anytime I've been around James quite a few times now, and every time I get with him, I learn something new. I'm
That's great. That's awesome.
Why did I think of that? And then for our last one, we're looking at a new keynote. So what we like to do with the keynotes, last year we had Tom Hollick, right? I want to give, so this is from my perspective. I've been to a lot of conferences, and I've heard a lot of the same speakers. I look at these conferences, I'm like, dude, I've listened to all of these lectures. We need to give, especially the guys that are very top tier hot instructors that have so much knowledge, give them an opportunity. And I tell you what, anybody that was sat in Tom Hollick's keynote last year probably agrees. That was the best keynote I've ever heard, hands down.
I'm sorry I missed that one. Yeah,
Yeah, it was
I heard a lot of good
phenomenal.
reviews from it.
Oh yeah, phenomenal. So we're gonna look for somebody new this year, that hasn't really given a whole lot of lectures or speaking, and give them an opportunity.
That's awesome. I love that. That's definitely giving back, and I think you're right. I think I do. I love listening. That's why I have this program. I love listening to newer people. I love talking to people that not everyone knows, right? Because I think people start tuning up their ears again because it's fresh, it's new, it's somebody they haven't heard from, and there's new perspectives and there's new ideas and new blood, and I think that's important. You start, you just get stagnant. You hear the same thing over and over again, and we talk about the same thing, but sometimes you can talk about it differently. Coming from a different person, it helps another person to relate a little bit better. I think it's great that you're going to change it up and have different speakers. I think that's really it's progressive and forward thinking. So I saw last year you had Kyle Romagus and you had I can't remember who else you had. I was looking at your list. Brothers
Cody
in Battle.
T
So
and LJ guys.
Yeah, those are just what a great list you had there.
Oh yeah,
and it sounds like you just another great list again. And it's amazing of what you have going on and the buy-in you get from those guys coming. Now, how long is each hot class?
So each hot class, we're going to run 2 hot classes. We've been running, it's going to be the same one as last year, but we're going to make some modifications and turn up the difficulty a bit. And it's really just the basics, man. Our engine class is forcible entry, stretch and hose, flowing and moving, victim on a nozzle. And then what we do is we take all of that at the end and we have a scenario. And you're a low-staffed engine company, and you have victims inside, you have a fire, and it takes all of that. And like I said, fatigue is set in, and us as the instructors and cadre, we're there until the last student is ready to leave. If you want to do that thing, if you want to do the scenario 6 times, we'll do that scenario 6 times. We're there, we're there till dark or whatever, and we've had that, man.
So you're getting your money.
They want to go.
You're getting your money's worth out of those trainings right there.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Man, that's something special. Whenever you see that last group of people that stick around to the end, and then they're asking for more reps. Man, I think I'm gonna have to get some challenge coins made, and be like,
that's a good idea.
That's a really good idea, because you've probably seen it as well, especially as the day goes on or the hot classes go on. A lot of students tend to leave. And they're missing out on the best part. It's hard to get people to understand, like, hey, just stay in the suck, man. That's where we grow.
Yeah.
Growth is not comfortable. Okay. We're going to take all these basic skills that we've done throughout the day, and then at the end, take it all together, and we're going to turn up the difficulty. So,
yeah.
And we're all going to grow together.
You want to get your money's worth too, right? Like, if it's too easy, you're going to walk away and go, well, man, I can't believe I just spent $400 to do whatever this kind of training I could have done at my station. I could have pulled that line at my station. That wasn't difficult at all. Do you guys do live fire at your program, or is it
currently
licensed for that? Or?
We don't really have a good location for live fire. And not only that, we use live victims, so you can't really have live victims and live fire. You can have one or the other.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So what we do try and key in on, though, is realism. So that's why we use live victims.
That makes sense. So you have it's a week long program. This conference?
No, it's 3 days.
3 days.
We do
3 days. Okay.
One lecture day and then 2 hot days. And what we'll do is half the students will go to engine, half the students go to search, and then on the last day they'll flip flop and switch classes.
Nice. Do you open this up to family as well? Do you
Yeah, absolutely.
That was the first conference I've ever been to where they invited the whole family to be a part of it. Is that something you guys do as well?
So currently, family members can come out and watch and, see what their significant other and spouses do and the training that they put in. But unfortunately, we don't have like a spouse track, like some conferences do. I don't think we're quite big enough to do that, unfortunately.
How many people do you usually get to attend?
Last year, I think we had a total, including instructors, and conference committee and all that, I want to say it was at 150.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
That's not bad at all, man. That's good. That's a good amount of numbers.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So everyone gets their reps in. I mean, having for the 3 days and then having that's actually a good amount of people to have, so you can actually get some really decent reps and split the groups up. So that's I bet everybody walks away pretty tired.
Oh yeah. I was getting messages, hey, I'm 4 days after the conference and I'm still bruised up. And so I was like, okay, good, I did my job.
That's awesome, man. I like that very much. Yeah, that's how I felt when we did the dadgum. That's how we felt, man. Every evening, I was just so exhausted and so tired. My buddy and I, we just could barely move. We're in the hotel room, just feeling every muscle in our body, and then we couldn't wait to get back up and hit the ground and start doing it again. So, does your department, do they give you a lot of buy-in for this? Do they help you out with anything, or do they help you get time off? Do they help to offer you anything, or the conference?
Unfortunately,
anything?
no. I schedule my vacation around it, so I use my vacation time for it. But what we're trying to do,
it's tough.
Yeah, absolutely, but it's definitely worth it.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a sacrifice you make to better other people and to provide something that is definitely needed in your area. It's the same thing I do with the Explorer Academy that I'm a part of every summer. Now this will be our third year coming up, and it's the same thing. It's a year of planning, and then that week is hit the ground running, and my whole week is dedicated to that. My personal time off, or try to do swaps to make it happen so I can be there for the week and make sure everything goes well. And when you have that kind of experience, it's an awakening, that when you see the success of it. And I'm sure that's why you're hooked too, is that when the conference is a success, you want more of that. Every year you just keep building upon it and wanting to make it better, and who's the next up and person that you can get there to make it even more special, and how can you push the envelope just a little bit more?
Yeah. And my perspective is, how can we tweak the hot classes, right? Make it more realistic. So for instance, we have what we call the cottage. It's a fixed facility, but it has metal windows, that you have to open from the exterior. So like this year, we're going to, frame in actual windows on every single window. That way, everything's in play, right? We're not just going through the front door. We're teaching, hey, we're going through windows, coming out windows, victim. That we're dialing up the realism and dialing up the difficulty.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, do you guys do any truck work? Do you do any aerial operations at the conference, or do you switch it up every year?
So that's going to be part of our search track a little bit. It was planned for last year, but we had difficulties getting an aerial. Twisted Truckee was supposed to bring down his tiller truck, but it had issues. So this year we're looking at having a reserve truck from Port Arthur Fire Department come out. But that's if our other aerials and up and running. So we'll see. But what we want to do is we use that aerial for the VES isolation difficulties skill station. And what they'll do is they'll go up the aerial, they'll VES into a room. There's going to be a fire. It's a simulated fire, and they're going to take a closet door off its hinges and isolate that space because there's no door that they can't use to isolate. So they're going to take a door off and isolate the space, and then they're going to remove a victim down the aerial. So
nice.
And then after
that'll be fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. We have another skill station, which is a hoarder conditions, but it's also a window to door conversion. So they're learning how to use the chainsaw, how to figure out, where to make your cuts and things like that. So, and when do we do the window to door conversion? And hoarder conditions is absolutely phenomenal time to do it. Or obese victim. The victim in the hoarder condition house is an obese victim. We add a lot of weights to it. So
that's good. That's real life. It's real. Like I worked a fatal fire at a mobile home, and the guy just happened to be a really big guy. There was no way we were gonna get him out of the house. Like, we killed the fire. We did everything we could, and unfortunately, he was already pronounced, and we still had to fight to try to get him out. And we had to convert the window to a door. It was again a mobile home, just packed mounds mountains of clothing and other items. There was no way to pull them out through the front door, so we had to take that window and cut it and make a door out of it. But it's you got to adapt and overcome. And
absolutely. And like you said, it's impossible to go out the front door. But in reality, we need to be coming out the nearest means of egress anyway.
Yep.
Quicker we can get them out of that
Yep,
environment
absolutely.
and into a clean environment, via window, the better. But we're creatures of habit, right? We always going through doors, so that's why do we always revert back to front door or the way we entered? So that's just part of it.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right there. Creatures of habit. It's the same thing as the civilians that we go to, right? What do we usually find them, right? We find them behind doors. We find them in the hallways trying to get to the front door because they are confused, they're disoriented. They know they need to run to their front door instead of going to their bedroom window and hopping out that way. They try to get to the front door or the back door because the doors in their mind are an exit. Windows are for looking out of, and doors are walking through. So it's that mindset. We revert back to what we know. And unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. But I think we've gotten better, honestly, as firefighters to understand that we don't need to go back the way we came. I mean, especially if we have a victim, I'm not going to crawl down a hallway and then, try to go out that room, down a hallway and maybe another hallway to get to the front door.
Exactly.
If I've got a window right in front of me, I'm going to use the window. But with that, I think that does come with training and training your mind right to be able to think and have that forward thinking of, I need to go to the window. I don't need to go back to the door. We think we've gotten better. I mean, man, the book of search, I don't know if you've read that.
Oh yeah.
That they put out. That's some new stuff. And I love the fact that they came up with that book because it talks about those trainings and those new ideas of, not even new ideas. They're just that we don't talk about them enough. Right. And it's really, when you read that book, that's exactly it, man. They talk about like, hey, you got to train your mind right. You got to, stop doing the whole thing and going down the hallway and going back to the front door the way you came. If you can find an egress, go through the window, or again, make the area more tangible for you and the victim, close that door. The old school thinking, I know when I was going through the Fire 1 program many moons ago, it was, you got to go back the way you came. But if your way is cut off, you go to a window. But they never talked about closing doors.
Right.
And it's something that's so simple, but it was just never taught. And I think also that people were afraid to make it an extra move, like closing doors or going back or going to an easier egress. It came from that micromanaging. Because for me, I know that we weren't trained to think. We were trained to go in, find fire, put the fire out, then get out. If you find a victim, you do your typical victim, and then you muckle onto them and find a way to drag them out back the way you came. We didn't train them to go to that window. We trained to go back the way we came, and no one ever questioned it because that's, I'm new and I don't know anything. So I'm going to do exactly what you just told me to do. We've gotten better at that. Now we have data, we have books, new books that are doing us right, that they're making it so we understand that we don't have to continuously go the antiquated way of going back the way we came, or, having to muckle down and using the webbing and wasting so much precious time where we can do dirty drags. Again, that wasn't spoken about years ago, man. Dirty drags, I never even knew about that until like just a few years ago, about just, making it easier. And we still, honestly, in my neck of the woods, we still really do a lot of webbing training at our academy, and it kind of gets me a little teed off, and I make it known like, hey, we need to be better. They need to know these better tactics, but it's in the textbook and it's testing, so that's all they care about. Not all they care about. That's kind of harsh, but it's a big thing that they want to make sure that they're trained on and that they know how to do a webbing drag. And I think that doesn't equip them for getting out of the academy and into the real world. And again, like we talk about conferences, we're training them for real world shit. We're not training them to be tested on and for a promotion or, to pass it so they can get their Fire 1 cert. This is for you to be a better firefighter in the real world. And I love conferences like the For Them Fire Conference, because you're teaching these kids and adults how to be better firemen and how to be better in real world scenarios, not through a textbook. All right.
Wasting time with webbing drags when, dirty drags we found as quicker, keeps their airways low, and all that good stuff. That's how we win, and spreading that information.
So how did you, on your department or your history of working, what did you find beneficial for you? What that you bring to the conference? What kind of experiences or situations have happened to you that inspired you to really be a part of this, and what you contribute to the For Them Fire conference?
So what I would say is, man, what I really enjoyed in the past was I went to the search school up in Dallas, and it was two brothers in battle classes, and then a class with Sean Duffy and his cadre, and it was phenomenal. Once I learned those search tactics, I said, and noticed that, hey, this stuff isn't being taught in books. I never even heard of this stuff. Why is it not being taught, more widespread? And since then it has been. It's starting to get out there. We're just wanting to be part of that change and spread it out there. Not only that, so as far as the mindset goes and the length of our hot classes, I did have a fire that was a second fire of the shift at shift change, and we had a we have to be ready for that. And it was just, we got it done. We got it done quickly, but it just made me think, that's we have to be ready for all of it. It's not always.
How did it go when you found the victim?
Didn't find the victim. It was the ladder crew that found it. One of the guys on our cadre, Josh Ressweber, he got the victim out. It was actually a story-and-a-half house. There was two victims. One of them was still conscious. He came down the stairs, but they did find one more up there that was unconscious. They got him out. They got him into the front yard, and he was still dead. And they did CPR on him in the front yard, and we got pulses back. We got him on a helicopter, and I want to say he made it, but 2 weeks later he was out of the hospital.
All right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Were we not on our A game, he might not have made it.
So on that event,
so let me go back to this.
Did you have reports? Yep, go ahead.
There was a report of one victim, not a report of two. So that goes back to the occupancy is not clear until we, the fire department, say it's clear. If there's a report of one, there's probably two. That's just how it goes. Just expect more than one. Not only that, they did use a dirty drag to get him out. I think, and it was on a second floor. If they had wasted time, using webbing, trying to get him out, he might not have made it. Again, time is our enemy. So anything that we can do to buy back time, with our skills, especially dirty drags being one of them, then we're winning. That's how we have got to. We've got to practice it. And I'll just practice it once and say we're good. I don't know about you, but I'm more scared of the guy that, he practiced one punch 1,000 times versus a guy that knows 1,000 punches and he only practiced them one time.
Yeah. 100%, man. That's great that you can take your experiences and apply that to help others. And it's great that you have such a good core of people that want to provide such a great service in your area. There's not a lot. I mean, in my general area, we have a great Fools program here. Like New England Fools is really top notch. They do a lot. They bring a lot of training to a lot of members, but that's kind of about it. We don't have any other conferences or training. That's why I'm always traveling to go to all these other places because I want to learn. I think also, even if we had a lot in our area, I think I'd still be traveling, man, because I want to learn from people like you. I want to learn from different environments. I want to learn different cultures, and you have to get outside of your state to learn some new tactics and some new operational, and it's super important to be able to break away and understand that you have to get out of your own element and your own zip code to be able to learn new ways to do a job.
That's why we bring in cadre from around the country, right? From Pacific Northwest, and things like that, because they have a different way of thinking. I know that, firefighting is quote unquote regional, right? We don't fight fire like FDNY does, but there's things that we can learn from them. There's things that we can learn from the guys up Pacific Northwest. They have basements. We don't, but there's things that we can learn.
It's funny you touch on basements. I'll go off on that tangent right there. So I made a post about training, and we're doing some flowing, and we talking about chimneys, going upstairs and going downstairs. And somebody had the question of, they just questioned chimney, and somebody else explained it to them, because I don't have the time or the patience to answer every question that we post on Instagram, right? It can suck your energy right out. So somebody else answered the question for that person, and he was spot on. And that person's reply was, "Oh, that makes sense. I don't have basements in my area." So the drill we're doing with our recruits, one of my lieutenants was showing them how to get down the stairs. And he was doing a fantastic job showing them how to do a proper technique to get down and flow at the same time. And he's talking about cooling the atmosphere, and he's talking about going down and trying, the chimney effect. And like you said, like basements, man, like we, not everyone has them. You guys don't have basements, I think basements for us are pretty normal. They're scary, but they're pretty damn normal for us to fight fires in, and we don't like to do basement fires because they're black, they're hot, and they're filled with a lot of shit. But that is our regional area. That is what we are trained to do. We have to be proficient in it. And that's awesome that you bring a different environment, different ideas, and people from all over to be able to train on how to do those certain areas, because you never know. You might go to a place that has a basement, and then they're going to revert back to that training and go, "Oh, damn, for them fire conference, we did basement drills."
Yeah.
So for them fire conference, that's going to be in what? Did you say it was May? I forgot.
November 7th.
With November, I have to remember that. November. Okay. So November, and you have how many people on your e-board?
So for the committee, we have 10 currently. We are opening it up for more people to be part of the cadre and, help us out, man. We can use all the help that we can get. So.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Sure. Now, how do you raise money for this program? Do you do it through obviously you do it through your Fools chapter. Is there fundraising events that you do through your Fool chapter to raise money to do this conference?
It's fully supported by our sponsors. And we have a great group of sponsors, man, and that help us out. MSA and Mercedes and Siddons Martin. They've helped us out every year so far, and man, phenomenal. So what that does is it helps keep our prices low for students. And that's our goal, is to try and keep it as low as possible, because we understand that departments are not going to send people. What we want to do is get the message out. And then after that, of course, the ticket prices. And then we have a raffle sale that helps support the conference. And what we do is whatever money is left over from that year, we just roll it over to the following year and make our build out even better and more realistic for the students. And so what we did is we took half the money last year and we did that. We rolled it over to this year. And the other half we're using to give to students that want to attend other conferences, but are not financially able to do so.
It's a big
like
one.
me. I mean, I have 4 kids, bro. Like, I can't afford to go any more conference. But I'm going to let somebody else use that. Maybe it's their first conference. So that's what we're going to do, is send them, it's like a scholarship program. We're going to send them out to get information and training and bring it back to us.
Right.
That's what it's all about.
That's what it's about, right? I think sometimes we forget about it, that it's to provide a service. It really is providing a service, and it's not about buying the t-shirts at the shirt shop, and it's not about how many students you can pack into one room. And if you only get 100 students, that means they're getting some real work. And it's also the networking is really important too, I think.
Yeah.
When you have 1,000 students or 1,000 people that are ascending on to that conference, you're not going to get that
It's
level.
It's not as
that
intimacy, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever you have a
100%.
nice small conference, man, you can really build some very strong relationships. And like you were saying, get more reps in, right? That gives you more time to hammer down those skills.
100%.
Absolutely. And even if you are already on those, if you're already at the top of your game, right, and you're just trying to learn that one more nugget, that's more time for reps.
Yeah.
And like we talked about earlier, we're going to master the basics. We're going to do our forcible entry, deploying hose. We're going to build all these skills up, but we're also developing fatigue at the same time. So once that 12-hour mark comes in, we're going to put it all to the test.
Yeah.
I've heard
that's
quite
great,
a few
man.
times.
I love it. You're doing good
I've
things.
actually heard quite a few times, and this is what I guess people don't understand. They're like, "Hey, I think it would be better if we took this and made it into 2 days, right? We did the skills on day 1 and then scenarios on day 2. And I'm like, no, because you're not going to be tired yet. Call it sadistic or whatever, but that's the whole point. We're going to get tired first, okay? We're going to get uncomfortable so that we can grow together.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a bonding moment for sure, too. Like, I mean, getting to that moment and getting tired together. It's weird, man. It's interesting. Like when you're working with a bunch of people that you've never met before and you reach that point where now you literally have just become like best buds because you're in that group together all day.
Because
you've
you
been
bonded
doing
through blood,
the,
right? Yeah. We're through sweat equity.
You've sweat your ass off.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just ready to drop to your knees.
You sweat buckets together.
Yes. And then we'll bond with a beer afterwards.
Absolutely. Oh, 100%, man. Like, those are the things I loved. Like, it's funny. The first day, everyone's looking at each other sideways. They don't know how to take the person, and you see some of the big guys and like, oh man, they're going to kill it all day. They're not going to want to talk to me. They look wicked salty and then you start doing your reps and you start getting to know them. And like, they're the most humble, nicest dudes. And they're there for the same purpose. And that's to better themselves and bring it back to their department and put in work. Like I always revert back to Dadgum because that was like one of my biggest religious experiences of going to conferences. They just really opened up my eyes and my heart of what a conference should be like. And
Kevin and Dadgum crew, man, they are some top-notch guys, man. They're some top-notch brothers. And they're part of our conference.
They certainly are.
Every year. They're coming back next year. Or this year.
That's good. That's good.
They're good guys.
I made such great friends. Yep. 100%. And in that environment, nobody felt out of place. People were teamed up with guys and girls who've had, some guys had, 15 years on. And then they're like, for me and my other friend from New Hampshire that came down, we got teamed up with 2 kids that had literally only have 6 months on the job. Right. And the kids were actually pretty nervous. Like, oh, we're going to screw this up for you. We're sorry ahead of time. And I'm like, dude, don't worry about it. I'm going to screw this up. You're probably gonna do great. I said, I know I'm gonna fuck this up. So don't worry about it. We're gonna get through this together. And it was a challenging last evolution. It got a little fucked up, but we came out on the other end and we all learned something and we became good buds. Everybody was hugging and exchanging stickers and numbers and became friends on social media. And I've still talked to those people to this day. It was definitely a life-changing conference, and it's like a retreat that I'm going to go to every year now because it wasn't just about getting the work in, but it was about building that brotherhood and that sisterhood and that sweat equity that you just said. It's a different experience if you've never gotten to actually do it. And the bigger conferences that are out there, they don't have that connection because it's just so much bigger. And I'm not shitting on those bigger conferences. They obviously are doing something right because they have so many people, but it's a different experience. It's a different environment. And the conferences that I love to go to are those intimate conferences where I can meet the cadre of instructors that I can actually talk to them and pick their brains and learn more from them, just sitting down, having a beer and then meeting the other students that are putting in the work as well. And understanding where they come from and why they're there. And man, it's a blast. It's and I can never say it enough for like those kind of conferences, the smaller ones. First in Fire conference, that McCormick puts on a great conference. It was the same thing where we had a lot of good lectures and then the hands-on. It was a perfect day. Everyone got to go do some really good work, and Arkansas Little Rock treated us right. And I definitely would go back for that one. So it's all where you go, and it's how you, like we talked about earlier, and vetting that process, vetting those conferences. And if you have instructors that are there either for the money and not for the craft, it's going to they're going to sniff it out real quick. Oh yeah. And you're not going to get buy-in and no one's going to want to be a part of it. So
yep, absolutely.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, do you have anything else going on? Are you going to any other conferences or you have any other plans in the work? Besides getting this all ready for November?
Man, currently, no. I'm just working on this all year. There's a lot that goes into it. Like I said, we were going to make some modifications to the curriculum, and that's something I'm going to develop with some of our committee members. But we definitely want to turn up the difficulty this year. So it might go longer than 12 hours.
All right.
trying to shoot for
12
that
hours,
24
man.
hour
That's a long day.
Yeah.
Wow. That's good.
Man.
That's awesome. Well, Nate, you got anything else for me?
No, I think that'll be it, man. Really appreciate you having me on there.
Of course. I follow everything that you're doing. I follow your page. I follow For Them Fire Conference. You're doing great things. All of you guys on the e-board are doing great things.
I tell you
You're
what,
making
man,
the fire
you're
service better,
invited
and
out this
that's what
year,
it's about.
man. You're invited out. Come on out.
Oh, I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you, man. I hope we'll talk about that more once we end this and see what we can do.
All right.
But I love to see it. We need more people. And we are getting more people out there, to be honest with you. I think I know social media helps. Social media is a double-edged sword, right? Like we get good things and we got bad things. We just have to be able to keep ourselves on the right path and keep doing things that are not just for ourselves, but for others. And again, what you guys are doing, you're doing it right. And you're doing it for them. You're doing it for us. And I love experimenting different conferences and seeing what I can bring back to my department. And it's cool to meet people from the South and bring their education up to the North and vice versa. And I look forward to seeing more years in of what you guys are doing, what you're bringing to the fire service. It's great that you're doing it.
Absolutely.
So Nate Pipps, thank you so much for being on the program. I really do appreciate you taking the time out, even though you weren't feeling well and you still stuck it out with me. I appreciate you. So we have, that was Nate Pipps. He does the For Them Fire Conference. That's going to be in November of this year. And that's in Beaumont, Texas. He's got a great lineup. It's on social media. You can follow him on Instagram and Facebook. They keep bringing up all the information as it gets closer of who they're going to have and what the programs are. So keep an eye out for that. Last year and the year before that, there were top-notch cadre of instructors, presenters, and lecturers that come in and partake in this. And everybody walks away with a big smile on their face and they get a lot out of it. So thank you, Nate, so much. Please, anybody that is looking to go to fire conferences, I can't tell you enough. You should really try it out. You need to get out of your area code to understand the growth and the networking of these kind of trainings. It costs you some money, but the lifetime experiences pays off. You gotta invest something to get out of it. So with that, thank you all for tuning in to the C.A.N Report. We'll be talking to you soon, and Nozzle Tov, y'all.